Hey, this is Nina Coulson from Healthy Junkies, and you are listening to Generate Radio.
Hi, this is Tom Perlongo, and you're listening to Donald Strachan on Generate Radio.
This is Saint Saviour, and you're listening to Donald Strachan.
Hey, Jan, this is Chris.
And this is John.
From the Electric Sun Kings Ballard, Australia. And you're listening to Donald Strawn.
Hi, this is Cassandra, and you're listening to Donald Strachan.
This is Elle Perry, and you're listening to Donald Strachan.
Hi, this is Farita saying hello all the way from Australia, and you're listening to Donald Strachan.
This is Theoretical Girl, and you're listening to Donald Strachan on Generate Radio.
This is Aidi, compelling pop for your heart from San Francisco, California, and you're listening to Donald Strachan.
Hi there, guys. Big hello from Nathan Home. You're listening to Donald Strachan on Generate Radio.
Hi, we're Where's George?
And you're listening to
Donald Strachan on Generate Radio.
Global music from Berkshire.
And I am indeed Donald Strachan, and I'm sitting in the studio here with the wonderful Colleen Henderson Heywood. It's great to have you on board with me.
Thank you.
And 6 o'clock, 4 hours to go just.
Yes. Oh, you're freewheeling now.
Yeah,
it's all
it's
down.
It's a doddle. Yeah, that's 2 Saturday breakfast shows. Yeah, so I've got 2 hours to go until my normal Saturday breakfast show. It won't quite be my normal Saturday breakfast show because I won't be calling into the back of their mini market in Greenlock to pick up the newspapers to bring in. I'll have to find another way of getting some newspapers. But I'm sure that's not an insurmountable problem. It's 6 o'clock in the morning, so it's time for another time-themed song. This is by a band called A, 6 o'clock on a tube stop.
6 o'clock on a tube stop, waiting for a subway train. On my own, so alone, why does everybody look the same? To the right, there's a sign telling me which way to go. And to the left, there's an old man shouting at the radio. Tube stop, waiting for a subway train.
Eh? Well, at least that was the band. They're called A, and 6 o'clock on a tube stop. Well, there's no tube stops in Duns, but it's 6 o'clock.
I tell you what, you couldn't sleep through that, could you? Although I do believe somebody is.
All right. I think I might guess who that might be.
Curled up like a hamster.
Right. But not in a sleeping bag that looks like a shark.
Yeah, no, and not you, thankfully.
No, I'm not.
Exactly.
Right. Okay, so we were talking about the possibilities of using radio for more than just letting people hear music.
Yes, very important.
Possibly about mentoring people and giving advice. I know it's a very public forum, but sometimes people are willing to share certain things when they get so down.
Yeah, very much so.
They will phone in and air sort of areas of concern, look for advice, look for help, and so on.
Yeah.
And well, you'll know that I have over my time here been pretty much a champion of people like Tivoli Sky, who does a lot of anti-bullying work, and Sophie Lancaster Foundation with their work on trying to increase tolerance and the reduction of hate crime and so on. So there are people out there who maybe would be willing to phone in and
I think
discuss their difficulties or look for advice.
Very possibly, but I think
might be room for an advice column where people would maybe email in anonymously and be
absolutely. But I think just simply talking about the topics actually, and for people, just hearing that they're not alone, and for them to be able to tune in and understand, that this is a common occurrence, and kind of outing it in a way. I think we don't have to out the people, but I think we have to out the subject.
Yeah, so if there were perhaps two people like ourselves talking about something that maybe affected other people,
yes.
They wouldn't need to necessarily phone in, but they could be reassured to hear that people were actually talking about it and maybe recognising that people do have such and such a problem, and it's not uncommon, and it's not they're not the only person in the world that's worried about the size of their body part or whatever, the colour of something. Yeah.
It's I think the more these things are out in the open, the more young people, in particular, are likely to escalate it, and that's really the encouragement we want to give. That they do tell someone about it. I saw the most amazing video clip the other day, absolutely staggering, and it was to do with a team of people that were going around America to various schools and actually holding a day where they took down all the barriers and tried to neutralise bullying. And it's quite a long video clip, and in it they did this one activity that blew me away, and it absolutely blew me away. They got all the kids in the whole school in the gymnasium, a big space, and they made them stand all at one side of the room, and it was called crossing the line. And they said they're going to announce a certain type of bullying activity or behaviour that was negative. If you had been a victim of that activity, you had to cross over to the other side of the gymnasium. So the first one started off, have you ever been teased for being fat or called obese or had, and a movement of kids moved to the other side of the room. And then it was, have you been victimised for wearing glasses or being short-sighted, and they moved across the room. And so gradually people were moving backwards and forwards across the room, and they had to count the number of times they crossed the room. And each time they crossed the room and crossed back again, the emotion in the place got more and more electrified. And then they said, have you ever been put down? Have you ever been criticised? Have you ever been, and a body of people moved across the other side of the room. They panned the camera across this body of people on the one side of the room. They panned the camera round to the other side of the room. Nobody was there. So the whole school had moved across to the other side of the room. So basically, everybody had been a victim, every single person. And it was at that point, it was like a watershed. It was at that point that everybody just broke down, and then they became unified. And then they started to rebuild. I was blown away. Absolutely amazing.
Sounds wonderful.
Yes, it was.
But as you say, I think there's scope for developing perhaps that side of things. But people like Hazel are kind of getting into that with some of the stuff that she does.
Very much so. I think we just have to pick our time for the radio station, as Carl and Oscar have to pick the timing very carefully, because I think there's that type of program is suitable at that particular times of day.
Not when you're waking up and having breakfast and so on. But
like this time.
But this is a one-off. This is a special sort of thing. It's not a pattern for every day.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so back to some music now, and I know you like this one. I like it too.
Yes.
It's London Calling, The Clash.
My favourite intro ever.
Yeah, and if I click there, we'll get it. An iconic album sleeve as well.
Yes. And that image was for sale the other year. And they wanted, it was in limited edition. I think it was one of about 20 original copies. £3,000. I tell you what, if I'd had that change in my pocket, I would have bought it on the spot. But there we go. It's still brilliant. Love the Clash.
Right, so what are we going to talk about next?
Well, you didn't know this, but I was going
to.
I was going to pick up your comment about technology.
Because we were talking off air about something, and I kind of butted in. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I saw the most phenomenal thing the other day, and I do this a lot. I think, and I would recommend people do try and do this. Seek out inspiration, because I think to remain motivated and to have your energy kept topped up, you need to be inspired. I mean, music does do that for me, definitely. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I deliberately go out there and try and find things that make me go, wow, look at that. And I did the other day, and the last segment about that school and crossing the line thing was one thing that was very inspiring. The same day I came across this other thing which was just stunning and was all to do with technology. And it was a small company in the States who have developed this system where if a patient is completely paralysed and can only has eye movement, that they have this fantastic kind of piece of equipment put on so that their eyes can actually move things on a computer. Right. Just the slight movement. Absolutely amazing. And they had this chap who had ALS, which is a catastrophic meltdown of all your systems. It's a pretty horrific condition. But he was a graffiti artist, and it showed all his graffiti from his days when he was fit and able. And this company came in and they fitted him with this system, and they were brilliant because they said, right, you need to spend $9.99 in Walmart for one of these and $20 on one of these, and you rig it up on a pair of like Buddy Holly type glasses. And then they set him away, and within minutes this guy who hadn't moved in any capacity for a long time on his screen was doing this most amazing graffiti. It was absolutely stunning. And then, blow me, his father, they showed a clip of him out in the city, and they'd set up this system, this projection system where what he was drawing from his hospital bed by his eye was being projected up on a building in the centre of the city. I went, wow. The power of the human mind combined with the technology is just staggering.
I mean, we can come back to technology. There's quite a few things I could probably mention there, but what is it? There's a slight glow on the horizon.
Oh
there.
Yes, sunrise coming.
It's sunrise on its way. So it must have been round about this time last year when you were taking some photographs of me.
Yes, and I intend to do the same again.
The sun was coming up.
Yes.
And yes, I am working towards a link here, haven't I? Yes.
Yes.
Because we've got the Stranglers up next. There's always the sun.
Oh, here we go.
Times have you woken up and prayed for the rain? How many times have you seen the papers apportion the blame? Who gets to say? Who gets to work and who gets to play?
Well, that's not strictly true, because for my Saturday breakfast shows, there's never the sun. Because I'm a bit of an awkward sod at times.
Are you? But indeed?
The Murdoch clan ain't getting any of my money, so I do not get the Sun, and I do not get the Times.
No.
So my newspaper selection is restricted through my choice. I always remember an episode of Porridge.
Here we go.
Porridge.
Way back. Nostalgia.
Nostalgia. And Godper was, I think he was getting compassionate release one day.
Yeah.
I think it was to go to a funeral of a family member or something.
Yeah.
So he was getting to get out of Slade prison. See, I remember the name of this prison and everything. and he said to Fletcher, he says, do you want me to get anything when I'm out? He says, oh yeah, you could get me a couple of Mars bars, and you could maybe get me a couple of newspapers. Oh yeah, and get me a copy of the Sun while you're at it. And I always remembered that. Yeah, the Sun. Yeah, that's not a newspaper. It's the Sun.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think probably they have done something about trying to improve the level of journalism, but I have my doubts about this. There's too many times I've come across people who seem to have been trashed by them.
Yes.
They think they've got a good story, and they come along and they put a slightly different twist on it to make
they have this agenda
to victimise the people.
They have to sensationalise everything, you see. So if you give an interview, and I've been a subject of interviews, many interviews, and I've been in the news of the world, which again, was done from my perspective as a awareness campaign. And actually then, they picked on all the parts of the interview which were more sensationalist and made stuff up as well. And I just find it offensive. And, people don't need to have things escalated.
No.
They just need to read the real stuff.
Now, you reminded me of a newspaper story that we commented on way back yesterday. Ian Thompson picked this one out, and we had a look at this, and after analysing it a little bit, I kind of said, to be fair to Atos.
Yes.
Now, this story is about a Marine who lost a limb in Afghanistan, had his disability benefit stopped after this health assessment.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can read that yourself, but the listeners can't see it.
News to me.
Now, and the main headline is, Nurse, can you move your toes? Aaron says, I've no leg.
Mm.
Now, on the face of it, and with that photograph there, you think, it's blooming obvious he's not got a leg because his prosthetic leg's off.
Yeah.
But the point I made was he probably wasn't sitting with that trouser leg rolled up and that prosthetic leg off when he went for the assessment.
No, of course he wouldn't.
So the nurse that was doing the assessment could perhaps have done some more general background checks, but it might not have been quite as obvious as that photograph has made it.
Assumption.
And I thought, this newspaper has deliberately set that photograph up to try and make Atos look bad.
Yes.
Now, Atos may be bad.
Yes.
And I certainly got slated by a few people sending messages and saying, don't worry, you shouldn't be defending Atos. But I thought in this particular case, the paper were trying to make it look worse than it might have been. We are manipulated
all the time. And one of the most classic ones I can recall is, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a shot of Princess Diana as she was. She'd been away from her boys for a long time, and she was boarding the ship, and there's a shot of her running along with her arms outstretched to get her boys, and everybody said, she's just a brilliant mother and all the rest of them, where's Charles? Well, actually, that crop image, if you took the original image, Charles was right behind her, but they didn't actually show you that. They just showed you Diana, and in the context they wanted you to see her. Yeah, not as the shot was originally taken. So, nothing that you look at is authentic unless you know that unless you've taken it yourself. How do you know how authentic it is? Really, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I remember I think we talked about that on the way back from the airport the other day.
Right.
I think I came up with a suggestion of political editing of the film, the photographs.
Yes,
because my example was Stirling Castle.
Yes.
With the wind farm behind, and with a zoom lens, you can reduce the depth of field, and there is a certain place you can go, and you can get a photograph with Stirling Castle, and it appears like there's all these masses of wind turbines right behind it.
Yes. Yeah.
And in fact, they're about 14 miles away.
Exactly. So it's a presentation of facts and information. That's what people will they'll present to you what they want you to see. and human nature is often we believe what's presented to us, but I think...
And of course that we can then start going down the route of photoshopping models and so on to
exactly.
make people look completely different.
Completely different,
Which brings us to one of the reasons why many young people have problems with body image. Because they see these images in magazines and newspapers and they think it's real.
Exactly.
And they cannot possibly match up to it.
No. And there's such huge pressure to be, perfect. And actually, there's no such thing as perfection, as we both know, and that trips lightly off the tongue. But there is so much pressure to be like that. Yeah. Enormous.
Okay, I think we need to have a break from this in-depth chat. It's lovely, but I suppose what I'm trying to do now is, if there's any potential volunteers out there wanting to do something, but of course all this is being recorded.
Oh, good.
So for training purposes, the future volunteers, perhaps bits of this could be taken and say, here's a model of what you might be able to do with a radio show. And they might well say, yes, and that's really bad, to change that, and change that. And that's something else I can talk about. But music, Tori Amos, Professional Widow.
Yes.
Is there such a thing as a professional widow?
I doubt it, but I happen to love this track.
Yes. It is. Right. No, let's not talk it into something it's not. Here it goes. Just because it's turned red doesn't mean to say it's finished.
Oh, well, it's snuck
It's
up.
close, but it's a useful indicator that it's about finished. Although I did play one track earlier, I was a wee bit worried when I started it to play, because apparently it was only 59 seconds long, and I knew it should have been longer than that.
Yeah.
But after 59 seconds it went red, and it stayed red for about 2 or 3 minutes.
So don't believe what you see. We've just been talking about that, and we don't take our own advice.
But right, what was I going to talk about?
I have no idea.
Oh gosh, it all seemed so perfectly natural and normal.
Yes.
I've remembered one of the things that I was going to do, but I'll do that after this next track, because there's a reason for leaving it till after that one.
There is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So, we'll just go and play. You suggested Bob Marley's Three Little Birds.
Oh, right. So, well, yes, I did that for a reason, actually, and because we won't dwell on these topics anymore, because we'll draw a line under them after this. But when I was 15, it's when I discovered that I was a square peg. And, my theory about square pegs and round holes, you have to make square holes. And I had quite a tough time, not with other people, just with my own internal emotions. And I used to play this track, and honestly, it used to just bring me back to the balance. And, the track speaks for itself.
Right. Okay, Bob Marley, Three Little Birds. Yeah, don't worry about a thing. Lovely.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Oh, the sky's getting lighter. It's looking good. Looking nice out there. Right, okay, I've got a track up here next, and there's a reason for it. It's the Allman Brothers. A nice little song. It's called Little Martha.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I've got that up there is because Martha Payne has been in the news again recently. Now, you didn't appear to have heard about Martha Payne.
No, I live in a bubble.
Right. A few months ago now. I can't remember exactly when. But I think it would be before the school summer holidays, because the school was still in session. Because I remember going into school one day and discussing the situation with the people in the school there. Now, little Martha Payne, she's 9 years old, and I believe that she'd got permission from the school to do this.
Mm.
And her idea was that she would take a photograph of her school lunch, and she would post a photograph of her school meal on a blog. Mm-hmm. And she would write about her school meal on this blog, and she would do that every day. And she hoped to try and get some sponsorship so that she could put some money towards, I think it's Mary's Kitchens, which is a charity which build kitchens for orphans in Africa. Mm-hmm. And I think she was getting a few followers for her blog, maybe a couple of hundred or something. She was getting some money, but there wasn't an awful lot coming in. But celebrity chef Nick Nairn had heard about what she was doing, and for somehow Martha ended up at Nick Nairn's chef school at the Lake of Menteith in Scotland.
Wow. Mm.
And the press were along.
Of course.
And the press got some lovely photographs of Martha and Nick Nairn flambeing something. Mm-hmm. And the story came out, and this lovely photograph of the two of them in the flambeing pan, and the story about how some of the meals that she had weren't all that spectacular, and she'd given every meal a marks out of 10, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. and some of them weren't maybe getting very many marks. Mm-hmm. The headline: mm-hmm. School cooks should be fired.
Shocking.
Obviously, it was a play on the word, yes, with the flambeing.
Yeah, yeah.
The day that went into the paper, the council didn't like the slant that was being put on the staff. Now, before this had happened, Martha had, I believe, had got permission from the school to take a digital camera in. Yeah. So that she could take photographs of her lunches. Yeah. She wasn't sort of going in with a mobile phone that she shouldn't have had. Yeah. It was all discussed and cleared in advance. Yeah. But that didn't seem to matter. She was taken out of her classroom, taken into the head teacher's office, and told, "You are not allowed to take photographs of your meals anymore." So that night she went home. Yes. And she posted her blog, yes, and said, "I'm sorry, I can't put any photographs up today because I've been told I'm not allowed to do it." Yeah. I think the next day it was about the second highest trending topic on Twitter. I went to have a look at her blog site, as did obviously many others, and the hit counter was just racing around. Yeah. It was going into the millions and millions. Wow. and the crowd, or the donation page, her Just Giving page, it had shot up from a few hundred to thousands of pounds. Wow. Later on that morning, the council were approached and asked if they would reconsider their ban. Yeah. I think even the Scottish Minister of Education had suggested that the council should reconsider it. Mm-hmm. The council came out about lunchtime with a very strongly worded statement supporting their decision to ban it. Yeah. I think by 2 o'clock they had unbanned it. They ended up looking rather silly. Yeah. But Martha ended up with thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds, I think it was.
Yeah, fantastic.
And she was allowed to continue taking photographs of her school meals.
Yeah.
Now, it raised all sorts of questions. I mean, first of all, she had been given permission to take a digital camera in to do this specific task.
Yeah.
She wasn't surreptitiously photographing teachers against their will when they didn't know. She was, for goodness sake, she was taking a photograph of her own property.
Yes.
It was her meal.
Yeah.
She'd paid for it.
Yeah.
She was taking a photograph of it, and all she was doing was writing what she thought about it. I think one of the justifications the council said was it's not a fair representation of the council's school meal policy and everything that's available. And I thought, maybe it's not, but it's not her job to publicise the council's school meal policy. She was just writing what she thought about what she had bought.
It was just a charming little 9-year-old girl doing something for herself.
Not just for herself, for other people. And it was encouraging her creativity, her ability to express herself.
Spawned from her own imagination and her own desire to do something.
And I've no doubt, probably her parents were being supportive and encouraging her to do this, and to be treated like that was just ridiculous.
It's a world gone bonkers.
Yeah. But the end result is the reason why she's in the press again just this week.
Yes.
She is flying out to Tanzania, I think it is.
Fantastic.
She's going to see the kitchen that has been built with the money that she raised.
Wow.
And she's going to critique the airline food that she gets when she's flying out.
Good for her. That's absolutely charming.
Yeah,
absolutely charming. Yeah.
It's lovely. And so that's why I'm playing Little Martha by the Allman Brothers Band. And that was Little Martha.
That was charming, just like the story.
I'll look forward to reading her critique about her airline food. Yes. Although I suspect, with all this pre-warning, the airline is going to make damn sure that the airline food on that flight, if nothing else, is going to be pretty good.
She's going to get
She'll be upgraded. She'll be upgraded to business class.
She will be. Yes. Talking about that, my friend Josh he's a wonderful guy, and he's now an air steward, and he works in first class for British Airways now. And he had a famous footballer and his wife, one of the most famous ones on board, and surprisingly they were travelling as a family. They had the nannies and the children with them. This famous footballing couple, who I'm sure you will know.
Yeah, I think I've guessed.
Got the nannies and kids sitting in economy while they went in first class.
Yeah.
Amazing, isn't it? But don't you just love children? I mean, the purity of a 9-year-old.
Well,
it's just gorgeous.
I remember hearing something just the other day about a young child having been taken to a funeral in the crematorium. And the young child had been sitting quite happily drawing in her colouring book. And then she looked up and said, "Mummy, what's in the box?"
Yeah, it's this catchphrase thing, isn't it? The kids just say what they see, don't they? They say what they see. I have this theory that, and I tell my dad this, kind of sub 10 and over 75, you can get away with just about anything.
Right, okay, time for a little bit of hilarity, I think. Weird Al Yankovic. Eat it. Have a banana, have a whole bunch.
I'm not a huge fan of novelty tracks, but that was a peach, that one. Very good. Enjoyed that. It got us all sniggering, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah,
well, yeah, there's a place for everything.
There is.
Even some toast. Would you like some toast?
A little bit of toast would be good.
A little bit of toast?
Indeed.
Yeah, right, okay.
Morning all. I'd like to tell you about when I was a young boy. Must have been 3 or 4 months old at the time. I didn't really know what I wanted, and if I did I wouldn't have been able to tell anybody because all I could do was gurgle. So I sat there in my high chair, thinking one day, looking at me tray and thinking what I'd give for a meal on there. So I started looking around to see what I could have. I was rubbing my eggy soldier in my head, trying to think. And I looked... What's the breakfast? This is spin slots. Nice.
Oh, I'm hungry now.
Kettle's boiled.
And Kyle just said bacon butties.
Bacon butties, yeah. Sounds like a plan.
It sounds like a great plan.
Well, it is coming up for breakfast time.
I can't believe that. 2 hours has flown.
It's been great. It's been lovely having you here.
Thank you very
much. Always is. It's a pleasure to share a studio with you.
Thank you.
Yeah, we did that 1.5 hours on Monday as well.
Yeah, we did, yes. Yeah,
I've been in here Monday, 1.5 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday.
You might as well move in. We'll get you a shark.
21 hours so far.
You reckon it's like a pilot flying air miles, isn't it? You'll get your gold radio headphone badge soon.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I've got my
You've got your own badge.
I've got my rock and roll with my little lanyard and.
Brilliant. Well, it's
okay. I did make it myself. I know, but
handcrafted. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
It's been lovely. And yes, that was the kettle just boiled sounded. Yes. So it's time for some coffee and TV.
I think so.
So.
Skip the TV, hey?
Well, it's there. Well, it's coffee and TV. Thank you, Colleen.
Welcome.
It's been a pleasure having you. I shall continue for another 3 hours.
And I'm sure you'll do a fine job too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Here's Blur.